tipped off tonight right here at Ford Field. The Lions leading 7-0, and in a blink of an eye, it can be 14. How fast was he running?
Real fast, 22 miles per hour for Jahmyr Gibbs, one of the top speeds reached this entire season.
14-0 at that point. It's a 14-9 game, and spins out of a tackle. This is after he nearly scored the play prior. He gets into the end zone there. This is the story of the night, really. Baker uncomfortable. He was pressured throughout. This is actually a clean look late on 4th and 8. They needed that and a whole lot else to go their way, and it doesn't. 24-9, the final, which means you've got 5 teams in the NFC currently at 5-2. Those are 2 of them. In RC, again on Countdown, we talked so much about the receivers coming back for Tampa Bay, and who are these dudes in the defensive secondary for Detroit? How well did they play?
Oh, man, they played out of their mind. Amik Robinson, Arthur Millette with 2 huge turnovers in the second quarter. Whiteside coming up and making huge plays. Harper at the safety position. It was truly a masterful performance by Deshae Townsend's group, the cornerbacks and defensive backs coach, but also Kelvin Shepherd. To have your team prepared in this manner with playing backups on the back end, but seeing some of the rushes by Jayden Hutchinson in that front group, JK, that allows you to play well.
One of the things that helps secondary out more than anything is getting to the quarterback, right? And Jayden Hutchinson, Aleem McNeil coming back, they were all over Baker early and often. I mean, they did a great job of mixing up 5-man pressures, playing cover 1 in the back, and then playing these zone coverages, spying Baker, not letting him get the plays on the ground and scrambling and making off-schedule plays down the field. It was a really, really good plan by Detroit throughout.
The first game this year, we've seen Baker Mayfield affected by the rush.
Yep, he came in here with a lot of MVP credentials, but they pressured him. He was uncomfortable throughout. Detroit, as I said, they moved to 5-2 along with Tampa Bay. Seattle trying to join them later tonight.
The ball, if it's in his hands, your chances to win go up.
You know what? We just watched an elite running back last night on a primetime stage in Christian McCaffrey, and we just saw the impact he had on the win for San Francisco against the Atlanta Falcons. And when we really thought we saw the best back in the National Football League, clearly Jahmyr Gibbs said, and he can score in so many different ways. He's not a big back, but I love his contact balance. And you don't see one guy get him down. You have to rally to the point of the ball carrier with Gibbs because he is a tough runner, even though he's not a Derrick Henry type of back. He's not a Josh Jacobs type of back, but his contact balance and his ability to fall forward is oftentimes felt.
Mac, you know I don't need flowers.
Yep.
Maybe a thank you card. Who told you Jahmyr Gibbs was on this trajectory?
You did.
We were a couple. This show was out in front of it. Not to say anyone made Jahmyr Gibbs,
you said it.
It's getting harder and harder to give David Montgomery his touches because Gibbs is so special. What makes him special in your eyes?
I'm glad you asked me, Joe, because I was on this network when I said Jahmyr Gibbs is RB1 in that draft class that had Bijan Robinson. And the reason why people laughed at me then, oh, he's only 199 pounds. Well, you can't hit what you can't catch. You can't hurt what you can't touch. And when you look at someone like that, you got to get him out of space. No, you don't. The fastest way to get from point A to point B is straight ahead. Contrary to popular belief with the running back position, when you have smaller backs or lighter backs, you want to run them inside. Yeah. Why? Because they get up on the linebackers quickly. One subtle move left to right is 88 out the gate. We saw that in his play where he hit the home run right down Main Street. And when you do give him space, like we saw on numerous swing passes tonight, what was it? It created a kickoff return type situation where he's attacking the lane, he's attacking your leverage, and it's boom, explosive acceleration where it's rare to see acceleration, but you see his acceleration. So you see him digging deep and getting that second and third gear. So he is an elite runner indoors on turf. This is an explosive talent.
Jahmyr Gibbs and this offense meeting and exceeding expectation once again. On the other side, we had that in our pregame script, Mac, but we also kind of looked at Baker and this Bucs offense as able to match them blow for blow. We thought this was going to be a back and forth battle. What'd you see in Mayfield's performance here? It looked like they sped him up earlier in the game and really never found his rhythm.
Well, what I saw, number one, Jayden Hutchinson was a grown man. Mm-hmm. He might not show up a lot in the stat sheet, but his impact in the game was often felt. I mean, the bull rush, the moves, relentless effort to make things difficult for Baker Mayfield. It was tough for Baker Mayfield, but I can't overlook Kelvin Shepherd and the job he did in terms of play calling, the strategy, and just the execution in a game in which he was missing his top 5 defensive backs. Terrion Arnold, DJ Reed, Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch, who was suspended, Avonte Maddox. We didn't know exactly what we would get. But then when you look at the guys who filled in, Eric Hallat, Arthur Malott, Rock Ya-Sin, Amik Roberson, Thomas Harper, Nick Whiteside, all of those guys combined for 8 PBUs and 1 interception.
That's great stuff.
That is high-level play if you have your starters in the game against this Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense. But these guys that I just named, they're not starters. Some of them were 3rd and 4th teamers that were called to action because of injuries, and they did not blink. So when you look at, I know we say it all the time, it's cliche, next man up mentality. Well, that doesn't really work out in terms of production because the next man up really can't uphold the expectations. But because of the coaching by Kelvin Sharpe and his staff, shouts out to Deshae Townsend, my former teammate who is a part of the secondary coaching staff there, those guys did a phenomenal job in getting these guys to be in place to be able to execute to the level in which they did.
I can't help but sit here and draw further parallels from what we saw in primetime on Sunday night to what we saw on Monday night. You talked about the tailback, also the attrition that this Detroit Lions team has been dealt, similar to San Francisco.
Yep.
And it's two teams that continue to find a way to win. Now, they didn't lose a Fred Warner, but still, those 2 deeps, those 3 deeps making big plays in big moments, Emery.
Yeah, when you look at why this happened tonight, we talked about this in the pregame. That's why you had to lock in with us during the pregame show, folks. So we gave you these nuggets. The return of Alim McNeil and the emergence of Tyleik Williams, the rookie defensive tackle out of Ohio State. Alim McNeil was the stud tonight because you got that interior pressure versus a shorter quarterback, which means he's going to get off the spot. The ball will sail high. We saw a lot of high throws. And to your point about those reserves, how about this? This is the linear leadership that we talked about with Brad Holmes and also Dan Campbell. They understand this. Talent is everywhere. Nick Whiteside, Saginaw Valley D2 program, 3 PBUs, St. Louis Battlehawks, UFL. Jacob Sailors had a 28-yard kickoff return, St. Louis Battlehawks, UFL. Jake Bates, Michigan Panthers, 58-yard field goal. So when you need to go get guys, they find guys that go get and fit this mantra.
Identify talent.
And bingo. And when you have the next man up mentality, they embody the mentality of the football team. They went out there and say, hey, it's our job. We are the Detroit Lions. That's why they went out there and dominated. It made things difficult because Baker couldn't step up in the pocket and he couldn't escape because you got power rushing coming from Hutchinson on the outside. The D-line won this game. In the secondary, just kind of put the icing on the cake.
And in turn, Tampa Bay now 1-7 in primetime games with Baker Mayfield at the helm. 14 drives, 9 points against this defense in Detroit that stands up and answers the bell. Maybe a final thought here on Tampa Bay, Emery. I know we don't want to overreact to 60 minutes of football. What do you chalk this up to, and how does it make you reassess where they situate at the top of the conference? 60 minutes in a tough building, or something broader to be worried of?
We kind of mentioned this in the pregame where we didn't want them to rush these guys back and try to make this about this particular game, albeit an important one. But we saw what happened. Now you lose Mike Evans again, and also Ibuka wasn't 100%. So to me, this is more of a long-term